Why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess. It should have never taken place. If we're going to go out, and we would have gone out because I had everybody ready to go. We were going to go out with strength and dignity and precision, and we would have left from Bagram, and we would have kept Bagram, by the way, because of its very close relationship to China and where they make their missiles. But when you let the people come in by the thousands and thousands and thousands, they made a terrible mistake. But they were incompetent, yeah. And I want to express the anguish and the horror of our entire nation at the terrorist attack yesterday in our nation's capital, in which a savage monster gunned down 2 service members in the West Virginia National Guard who were deployed as part of the D.C. task force, which has done such an incredible job. I mean, until yesterday, we literally had no incidents for many months. It was the safest place imaginable, and this is a different kind of crime. This is a really bad crime. Millions of Americans are praying for those heroes and their families, and I must unfortunately tell you that just seconds before I went on, right now, I heard that Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, one of the guardsmen that we're talking about, highly respected, young, magnificent person, started service in June of 2023, outstanding in every way. She's just passed away. She's no longer with us. She's looking down at us right now. Her parents are with her. It's just happened. She was savagely attacked. She's dead. She's not with us. Incredible person. Outstanding in every single way, in every department. Just horrible. As you know, the other young man is fighting for his life. He's in very bad shape. He's fighting for his life, and hopefully...
You've made changes for Afghanis' ability to apply for asylum. Do you blame all Afghans for this one man's mistake?
No, but we've had a lot of problems with Afghans because they had a lot of them coming in on these planes. Again, I show you this picture. We had a lot of them coming in on these planes that are, look at them. There was no check-in. They just poured into the plane. And many of these people are criminals. Many of these people are people that shouldn't be here. And many of them have been gotten out. I mean, we've gotten out a lot of the people that, we've taken a lot of them out of here. But they came in,
legally, right?
Yeah, I know, the old story. Many are wonderful, yeah, I'm sure.
I said many are here legally, though. What should they think in terms of their prospects?
Well, they can't be happy, okay? They can't be happy. Because what's taking place between that, if you look at Somalia, they're taking over Minnesota, and we got a lot of problems with the gangs, with all of the things taking place in Minnesota. We have an incompetent governor, we have a dope governor. They can't be happy about what's going on. And if you talk about the Afghans, there's a problem because so many bad ones came in on the planes. They just walked in. Whoever the strongest people were physically in a way, but whoever the strongest, they got on the planes. There was no check-in. They just swamped the planes. They took off. We had no idea who they were.
Joining us now is Josh Hammer, Senior Editor-at-Large at Newsweek. Josh, thank you for joining us today. Let's start with this horrific shooting in DC. 2 National Guard troops are fighting for their lives after being shot. They were both members of the West Virginia National Guard, and we are starting to learn more about the suspect, the person who is accused of shooting the 2 National Guard members. That person has been identified as 29-year-old Afghan national Ramallah Lakanwal, according to media reports. He allegedly entered the US in 2021 under Joe Biden's Operation Allies Welcome program. Josh, can I get your reaction to this horrific tragedy?
Well, the first thing to note, Gabrielle, is that it is just that. This is a horrific tragedy. It has happened on the eve of what I think most Americans would consider our de facto #1 national holiday. Of course, Independence Day, July 4th, is a major national holiday here where we fly the flag, but Thanksgiving really is the quintessential American holiday. And for this to happen on the eve of Thanksgiving is pretty unconscionable. It is pretty unconscionable on the one hand. On the other hand, this is the sad part, even sadder part, frankly. It is all too eminently predictable. I mean, going back to 2021, this Biden operation, I mean, the entire withdrawal from Afghanistan was completely botched in the first place. Not the mere act of withdrawing. I actually was calling for the United States to withdraw for many years prior to that, but the manner in which it was done was just so extraordinarily chaotic. And then to have this program where you bring in, by some estimates, nearly 90,000, between 80 and 90,000 Afghans. Some of them were genuine interpreters who actually helped the United States Armed Forces during the 2 decades in Afghanistan there. But you are playing with fire every time that you bring in people from that culture that is that incredibly foreign. And clearly, whatever attempts at vetting the Biden administration may or may not have done, and count me in the camp that was they were probably not giving much attention at all. Probably they were probably just opening the door. After all, they were literally letting in 5, 6, 7, 8 million by some estimates of illegal aliens there. So why were they going to bother to vet the legal ones there? So on the other hand, this is just so eminently predictable. And he apparently was shouted Allahu Akbar, which jihadists shout before they mow down innocent civilians. And it's just awful. It's just absolutely awful. And it is yet another wake-up moment for America's completely sclerotic and upside-down, backwards immigration regime. Hopefully the Trump administration doubles down trying to rectify its predecessor's horrific mistakes.
Absolutely awful. The other part in this is the Democrats and left-wing media activists, I should say, have been, in many cases, demonizing National Guard troops. Here's J.B. Pritzker claiming that Trump's deployment of the National Guard was an attack on the American people and will be used to stop the 2026 elections.
Other than fighting crime. That's the first thing they should understand. The second is it's an attack on the American people by the President of the United States. Now, he may disagree with a state that didn't vote for him, but should he be sending troops in? No.
You said he has other aims. What are the other aims?
The other aims are that he'd like to stop the elections in 2026 or, frankly, take control of those elections.
Look, I know it's early into the investigation that will no doubt take place. We don't know what the motive is yet, but you hear that message on repeat. You tell that message to Americans on repeat. It just takes one psychopath to become violent.
Do you know how out of touch with reality you have to be to think that Donald Trump called in the National Guard in the nation's capital to try to take control of the 2026 election? I mean, is that what J.B. Pritzker just said? I mean, I'm trying to make sure that my earpiece is incorrect.
No, that was correct.
I mean, the orders of magnitude of lunacy, of left-wing echo chamber from MS Now, MSNBC, whatever they're calling it, the level of delusion that you have to consume in your media diet to actually make that assertion ostensibly without any hint of irony there is just utterly astounding. And yes, you're totally right that the left-wing media complex has been demonizing the National Guard ever since Donald Trump a few months ago decided to launch this righteous operation, I might say. The nation's capital has become not just a laughingstock, it's become a crime-ridden hellhole. It's actually gotten a lot better, by the way, since the National Guard took over there. There's been all sorts of data indicating that violent crime, property crime, indeed have declined since the National Guard actually went into the streets there. So I mean, what in the world are they doing there? But more generally speaking, whether it's the demonization of the National Guard, whether it's the demonization of President Trump himself, haven't these people learned their lesson? Haven't we seen that bad things happen when you demonize your political opposition to this level there? You would have thought that maybe Democrats would have learned their lesson when it comes to Donald Trump after the near assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania, or perhaps after the second attempted assassination in West Palm Beach, Florida, just over a year ago. If nothing else, Gabriella, after the actual assassination of my friend Charlie Kirk, the most high-profile political assassination in America since Martin Luther King Jr. and RFK back in 1968. This rhetoric is insane. It is insane and is quite literally getting people killed. And I will repeat the message that I've been saying for many months now, which is, are there any senior statesmen left on the Democratic side of the aisle, anyone, whether it's a Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton, whoever has some kind of gravitas with that party, to just get there and say, stop demonizing law enforcement, stop demonizing the military, stop demonizing the political opposition, calling them a bunch of Nazis, Hitlerites, Stalinists, whatever. It's crazy and it's horrifying. And until that happens, Gabriella, I fear this is just not going to stop.
Oh, absolutely. It is so horrifying. It hasn't even been 3 months since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We look at the left-wing media coverage frequently. The coverage has been awful. We just played earlier on the show a guest on CNN comparing National Guard troops to Nazis. And let's just look at the live coverage of the tragedy that unfolded today on ABC.
Focus will turn to whether these guardsmen were specifically targeted. If that's the case, it would fit with what we've been hearing from law enforcement officials for a number of months now, that some political flashpoints in the country, whether that's immigration policies by the administration, the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, even amid a tenuous ceasefire, those kinds of flashpoints have made people in uniform, be they military, law enforcement, government officials, people in uniform, have increasingly been targets, and that is going to be one focus of the investigation going forward.
Yeah, I mean, 2 National Guard troops were just shot while, serving and trying to protect America. You mentioned Charlie Kirk. It hasn't even been 3 months since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, was killed for speaking the truth. He was demonized for a long time. He still is. And we've seen Donald Trump. He's been compared to Hitler countless times by parts of the left, whether it's the media, some Democrats. He survived an assassination attempt, as you spoke about. Are we ever going to see the left turn down the temperature when it comes down to its messaging?
I mean, Gabrielle, there's too many examples to count. I mean, Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk are the most high-profile ones. How about the slaughter of the 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. back in May? That was a left-wing, pro-Palestine fanatic. There was the attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh on the U.S. Supreme Court in 2022. There was the shooting up of the Republican congressional baseball team back in 2017, almost fatally wounding Steve Scalise. I mean, on and on we go. I mean, there's just too many examples there. I mean, how about all of the violent attacks on Tesla vehicles earlier this year, simply because Elon Musk had the temerity to sign up to help his country in patriotic fashion by trying to trim some fat out of the federal budget. So the left has a violent streak. We know that because they've literally had that since the advent of what it even means to be on the left during the French Revolutionary period, the old school Jacobins and Robespierre's reign of terror. So modern leftism started with a violent flair, and that unfortunately very much continues today. They're always trying to get some sort of next revolution in their addle-brained minds there. Again, I don't think this is going to get any better. I would very much like to say that it's going to get any better, but unless and until the American left, and that really in this case I think means Democratic Party leaders, get a hold of their base, because their base is so far out there, Gabrielle.
Yeah.
Their base is so far out there. The polls just showed this over and over again. There was a poll out of Harvard University a few months ago, around the time of Charlie's assassination. This poll out of Harvard, I think it was even after Charlie's assassination, this poll out of Harvard said that roughly 1/3, 33 to 35% of Harvard students think that violence can indeed, yes, it can be appropriate to prevent a speaker from speaking at Harvard University campus. This is Harvard, okay? This is the most famous university arguably in the world. Something is deeply, deeply, deeply malfunctioning in the American left-wing brain, and it calls for leaders, if there are any left, to speak up with all the might they've got.
Absolutely. It's absolutely terrifying.